don't think in purpose of a company in terms of values, of value added, which is actually a very basic economic phenomena, value added. That's the reason why you try to create something. So it is about the values of the company. I think that would change, that could change. Secondly, it's about the organizational structure itself. The consequence of our mainstream managerial paradigm is that we're going to organize companies reasonably hierarchical, with more or less layers, but reasonably hierarchical. Once you accept, of course, a quantum structure, then you have to accept that a company is nothing more than a number of interacting agents, and the role of the manager, the leader, becomes completely different. You don't control anymore, you facilitate, you make available. You are a leader, you commit first. That are things that might change. We might finally grow beyond the fight or flee reaction, which still today we are in a devastating competition inside companies. There's a lot of violence, managers amongst themselves, managers to people that work for them, as well as there is, of course, in the outside world. We're continuously trying to compete just to survive, basically. We want to do better than the other ones. So that, of course, you would have another purpose for management. The way we communicate with each other might become much less violent, and I refer here to what you know as nonviolent communication of Rosenberg, for instance. And as I already mentioned, the whole concept of manager-leader. People would stop to be a manager in the sense of an administrator, controller, and might finally move on to become a leader, the one that puts the vision, the one that motivates, the one that commits first, right? Not the one that plays the first violin, him or herself.
As we were trying to explore in the international seminar this idea of transformational leadership, maybe this is a good time. Could you say a little bit about more of that from your own perspective, from your own experience and understanding, also as a teacher?
About that leadership, I think if I talk about leadership, I talk about a leader that manages for values. That's a first start. So, and that's the first transformation. If you talk about people, leaders, managers that would make a difference are leaders that manage for values. Now, they should be able, in order to be a real leader, they should be able to switch from a more materialistic perspective to one of what I said earlier: consciousness, awareness, presence, connectedness. They have to be on the floor with the people. They have to be present, right? They by their presence, they have to motivate their people. Leaders, transformational leaders, should be authentic. They shouldn't play the role of a leader. I often refer to Varela's theory of enacted cognition. You don't play the role of a manager, you enact a manager. That is something completely different. You are a manager, you become a leader. I mean, you don't have to do as if. It is not something which I can teach you to do. There are leaders that understand that there is a difference between that there is no difference between the person, his personality, and the company. That is what responsibility is all about. It is a leader that takes responsibility. You cannot say, oh, I'm now a manager, but at 7 p.m, I leave the company and then I have a completely different life. That is not what a real leader is. I mean, a real leader is somebody who's all the time responsible since he enacts his role as a leader, right? And I often refer, those that have, of course, ever had a book of me in their hand, they have certainly seen the famous poem of Machado, which I adore, which I use at any possible and impossible moment, which says there is no path, you lay down the path in walking, right? And then if you look behind, etc. It are people that understand that actually, together with the people that work with them, they are creating while walking, while doing. And of course they share a vision. They share a vision which is what is the value that we want to deliver to this world. And keeping that vision in mind, you're going to try and lay down the path by walking. For me, that are characteristics of what I would like to call a transformational leader.
Do you, Walter, Do you know the poem by heart, or do you have it handy? Could you read the whole poem by Machado?
Could I read the whole poem by Machado? I could certainly not by heart, but I happen to have a book in front of me. but I'm not sure it's in there, honestly. But you have one which says it, isn't it?
Okay. Let's move on, and I can find it. I love the poem.
It should be somewhere in the beginning.
So let's talk a little bit more about transformational leaders.
Yeah.
And at the international seminar we did at Euromed in November, I'm interested too to hear some of the aftermath, and if you would like to share any of the personal stories of some of the students that we had before, during, and after, or as well as to hear about some of the other workshops and classes that you yourself have done in other places.
Yeah. Well, just to briefly summarize what we try to do in the international seminar, for those, of course, that have not done it, as you and me and Erna. Under the theme of transformational leadership, we've tried to come from different directions to the same concept of what does it mean a transformational leader, and how can you become a potential transformational leader. And of course, we have been dealing with some theoretical concepts, Varela, Sheldrick, complexity theory, quantum mechanics, etc. Just to give them the framework. At the same time, we have been dealing with concepts of the study that you have undertaken yourself at EONS, and you shared with those people, of course, the results of those studies. We've equally been looking into concepts of healing, of Ayurveda, of holistic medicine, etc., which for some students were bizarre. You have to accept for a moment that an average standard management student does not really expect these kind of courses, even though they are announced in an international seminar, and that is for sure. And I think what we really try to focus is the whole idea: how can I take responsibility myself for becoming somebody who makes a difference. A transformational leader for me is somebody who at the end of the day has made a difference, has contributed something to his fellow employees, the market, to the economy, to whatever. Secondly, we had a number of workshops that had them experience all kinds of sensory experiences. I think in management we don't do that. We talk about theories, we give exercises, they solve them, and they think they can deal with the world. And the world, of course, is completely different. The world is people that interact, and it goes via sensory contacts, via listening, via enjoying. Managers often don't enjoy, and certainly management students don't necessarily enjoy what they are doing. It's about joy. It is about being yourself, about not making the difference between myself and the outside world, me and the other. And we have based most of what we do, what I continue doing, of course, on the model that I quote as Wilber's model. I'm not so sure it is his, but in which he talks about the 4 quadrants: the it quadrant, the it's plural, the we quadrant, and the I quadrant, which I like to use very much in management, but starting with the we quadrant, the values quadrant. When I do a workshop with companies, I say, look, let's start discussing what is the value you would like to realize in your company. What are the values if you recruit